Welcome to part 4, section 8. This is Diversify, right? We have now talked about in this section about why you should budget, right? You got to budget so other people don't spend your money for you, right? Because if you don't budget $1, someone else is going to find a really good excuse for you to use that dollar, and you're going to agree with them because we're humans and we're impulsive, and that's what we do. And if you find that you're not budgeting, you may find yourself in a bit of a predicament as you get to the end of the month, and you may have to end up borrowing because you spent money on things that you really didn't need. And if you find yourself in debt, we've talked about ways that you can get yourself out of debt and why it's important to be on the good side of compound interest, right? You don't want to be the person that's having to pay extra interest, because we looked at how expensive a maxed out credit card can be. And what we're going to start talking about today is, well, what it looks like once you decided that you want to invest, right? Once we've essentially made the decision that instead of being a debtor, we're going to be a person that's saving for our future, what you need to make sure you're doing when you're saving for the future. And that is diversifying, okay? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? That old saying. So, before we get into that, I do want to introduce this concept because we have to do a little bit of review. We've talked about stocks in this class before. We've talked about bonds, but it's important to note what these are, okay? So stocks, these are a share of a company, right? You become a part owner, yeah? You become a one of many millions of owners, but you are a part owner, okay? And when it comes to stocks, there's typically two different kinds, but we'll talk about this here in a second. It comes down to how we're going to distribute the profits of the company, and if we're going to distribute the profits of the company. Because again, if you are a part owner, that means you get a share of the profits, right? The same way that the owner of a small little sole proprietorship, a small little store, will get all the profits. You as an owner of Apple will get a share of Apple's profits, yeah? So if it is a growth stock, this means that you're not getting a share of the profits. Instead, what's happening is whenever Apple makes profits, or I don't know, I don't think Apple is a growth stock anyways. Maybe they are. Anyways, let's say a Weaver stock, right? If the share of my corporation was a growth stock, essentially, instead of you getting dividends, instead what would happen is, as a share owner, you would get, well, just the value of the share of my company. Because what we're going to do with the dividends here at Weaver Corp is we're going to take these dividends and we're going to reinvest them in the company. That way our future profits can be better. And if you hold on to this share, there'll be a day where the dividends that you get a share of will be way bigger than they are today, okay? So that is a growth stock. Then there's also just dividend stocks, where they behave kind of normally as I described earlier, where these types of corporations, they pay out their profits to their shareholders in the form of those dividends. Okay, so as the company becomes more profitable, whether it's a dividend stock or if it's a growth stock, both of these, the value of the share is going to increase as the company becomes more profitable, because really a company's value comes from how profitable it is. Okay, so the cool thing is about stocks is you become kind of a limited partner, right? You don't have to be involved in any of the decision making if you don't want to, right? But you do get a share of their profits, okay? And then we get into bonds, okay? Now, bonds are not spies from the UK. Bonds are these little pieces of paper that essentially say IOU on them, okay? Now, if I buy let's use Weaver Corp again, it makes things really easy. If you buy a bond from Weaver Corp, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to get an IOU, right? And I'm going to get your money. Now, like any other IOU, I will pay back your money at a set time, but with this special kind of bond, what you're going to get is something called coupon payments, which is a really fancy way of saying interest. And I'm going to pay this interest to you maybe every month, maybe every year, whatever our agreement is, typically every month, or maybe every 6 months. I'll pay you these coupon payments, okay? Which is essentially just, again, a fancy word for interest, okay? So bonds, they get their value because they get these little interest payments, and of course, at the end, you get your money back, right? That's a bond, okay? And bonds are pretty interesting because as the interest rate changes, so too does the value of your bond. Because if this bond that you bought from me has an interest rate of 3% and interest rates go up, there are now better opportunities for folks to go and get some returns on the money they have sitting around, right? Instead of buying the bond that you have, because you can take the bond that I sold you and you can go off and sell it to somebody else. Instead of them buying it from you, they can go get money they can go put their money somewhere else and earn a higher interest rate, right? So now if you want to get rid of your bond, if you want to sell it, if you want to liquidate it, if you will, right? Turning something from an asset into a liquid asset, that is cash. If you want to liquidate it, you're going to have to probably offer a lower price if you're going to want anyone to buy it, okay? So you can see that bonds lose their value if interest rates increase, and they actually gain value if interest rates decrease, okay? So let's go ahead and go on and talk about how many baskets we need if we're going to be diversifying, okay? So when it comes to investing, if you put all your money in one spot, you're not going to do so well, right? If you're lucky, things will do well, but as it turns out, Murphy's Law is at work, and if things can go wrong, they will go wrong, and all it takes is one little misfortunate event for you to be losing everything that you have invested, or at least a sizable portion of it, okay? And it's certainly not that safe, okay? Instead, you want to spread it around, right? I love this metaphor that investing is like manure, right? If you put all your money in one spot, it stinks. It's not that good. However, you spread it around, and it's going to help things grow, okay? So what we mean here is that you want to take the money that you're investing and you want to spread it across a large number of, very important here, I should have emboldened it and put it in orange, unrelated stocks, okay? And you want to hold these over a long period of time, okay? Holding it over a long period of time is kind of diversifying, yeah, because you're not, there are going to be times where stocks are down, stocks are up, where some stocks are down, some stocks are up, where all stocks are down, all stocks are up. In any case, you're diversifying across time, right? You're holding them when stocks are low and stocks are high, because if you hold them over a long period of time, stocks generally tend to go up as companies, in general, become more profitable as they gain more scale and gain more customers, okay? So, what exactly do we mean by unrelated? Unrelated stocks. What do we mean? Well, I don't just mean different companies, right? Because you may say, oh, Weaver, look, I've invested in Dell and Hewlett Packard, that is HP, they make computers. I've invested in Apple and Samsung. I am so diverse. That's 4 different companies. Well, A, 4's really not that much. And B, do you guys notice a theme between these 4 things? That's 4 tech companies that are all involved in making computers. Well, maybe not Apple or Samsung, but they're certainly tech companies, yeah? So that's not too diversified. We're going to want to find a better way to get out of that. So you want to make sure that, whatever, portfolio you're investing in, because most likely we looked at this earlier in this chapter, whenever you're investing, you're probably going to be going through some investment firm that has access to indexes that are going to probably be what you're investing in, right? And one of those most popular indexes is the S&P 500, which makes investing super simple because it's literally just the top 500 companies, and you just throw it in and you call it a day, okay? However, the S&P 500 is not exactly diverse in and of itself because it's not global. It's not, it doesn't include stocks from all over the world. So one thing that you can do to diversify even more is look at investing in some other stock trading platforms. Oh my goodness, why can't I think of the word? Stock exchanges in different parts of the world. Yeah. So not just in North America, but also in Europe, so in Asia. There's all sorts of ways that you can diversify your money across the globe. So, you can diversify in stocks. You can diversify in bonds. Okay, we've talked a little bit on how to diversify in stocks already because we've talked about how you want to make sure that you're in different industries, right? Have something in manufacturing, have some in tech, have some in more service-related industries. Okay, you want to make sure that you're hitting as many different industries as you can, making sure that you don't have a bias in your portfolio towards any one of those. Okay, you can also diversify in bonds, and that is by buying bonds not just instead of just from the government, but also from companies. You can also buy from companies in different parts of the world. What's up, Darth? And you can also buy bonds not just from the government themselves, but also secondhand sellers. Right? You could also buy bonds from other countries' governments. Yeah. So again, the whole idea of diversifying is we are spreading out this money as most we can. That way, if something does go down, and something will go down, it's not your entire portfolio getting hosed. Okay. And people in chat are bringing up great examples. There are companies that also diversify themselves. Okay, so that's also something to take into account, right? Are you the company that you're buying a share of? Is it one that tries to diversify in of itself? That will make it a more resilient stock as well. Pretty good point. So this is the last point we're going to make before we're done with this lecture 4.8, and that is to avoid double jeopardy. Okay, so this is from the movie. Was it Dick and Jane? I'm assuming just based on the title of this video. I've never watched this video, but it's a great example. Oh, come on. Yes, there we go. It is Dick and Jane. Fun with Dick and Jane, apparently. I don't know. Maybe it's based off of a little kids series, it looks like. Let me go back here. Yeah. 1965. It started in 1930. Jeez, aloo. So, essentially, we have this man, assuming the dude's name is Dick. Maybe a Richard would be more appropriate for my students. They seem to have a great sense of humor. But we have Richard here, and Richard is he works for a company, and the company, they have a retirement compensation program where you can get a portion of your retirement, or I think it's in this case it's all of his retirement is in the form of a company giving him stock, right? And his whole retirement portfolio is in this one company stock that he works for. And this is what we call double jeopardy, because his company ends up going under. So not only does he lose all of his retirement, but his company went over. What else does he lose out on? Okay, so not just his future, but also, his job, right? So he's lost out on his job. He's lost out on his ability to make income, as well as everything that he has saved towards the future. Gone. In the dust, in the wind. And actually, I think there's more than that in this clip. I think they had actually bought this house, and they said, it's at least we have our house. And apparently, since this company is closing down, the property value is plummeting because there's no one else around that wants to buy the house, right? Because now that company's gone, there's no one that wants to live where they're living. Okay, fun stuff. But in any case, that was part 4, section 8. We will be into part 9 later.